Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Session 3, Unlocking Patient Power, Homegrown Innovators and Breakthroughs. I want to open the session with a little bit of a different flavor. I want to read a verse from Rumi, the poet. He says, "The wound is the place where light enters you." I'll say that again. The wound is the place where light enters you. We all have the good fortune at this conference of being among rock stars in the breast cancer community. And in the room today, I'm honored to share the stage with rock stars who have allowed their lived experiences to let the light shine through that. And by letting the light shine through their lived experiences, the light then resonates through the entire breast cancer community. I'm honored to introduce the people in today's session. Crisanne Celdran, she's a breast cancer survivor and advocate. You'll all know her probably. She's an ICANSERVE co-founder, and she is obsessed with early detection and access to information. Crisanne Celdran. Next to her is Mikhail Celdran. To those who know them, he is one of two miracles. That's a backstory. He's also a founder and creator of the In the Pink app, and he's really into democratizing access through digitization of crucial cancer information. Beside Mick is Minnie Panghilinan, another rock star, designer and co-creator of U.S.A, a group that creates medical devices and innovation. And joining us from all corners of the globe, we have fellow rock stars. We have Sam Daswani, a self-described patient from hell, who is in fact an angel to the breast cancer community with Manta Cares, which he'll tell us about later. And we have Sam Jackman, co-founder of Boost Innovation, an artist and inventor. Sam saw the issues her mother was having with breast forms and prosthesis, and so she decided to just solve it by inventing Boost, and she's here to tell us all about that later. I'm honored to introduce Crisanne Celdran.
Good afternoon again. Are we good to the slides? Okay, before the slides, good afternoon. A little bit of a history. When Cara, two other breast cancer survivors, and I started the foundation 23 years ago, we had just been diagnosed. We didn't initially have any grand plans, and we knew very little. What we knew for certain was what we did not want the next person diagnosed to be in the dark when it came to information, or in the dark because of fear. Slides. Next slide, please. Okay. Like many foundations, we began organically. We met with other survivors, other patient groups. We fundraised creating cards. We staged fashion and food fairs. We fundraised at local malls. We published a resource book. At one point in time, we even built a sensory garden for a hospital for women in treatment. We used what we had, sometimes very little, and used these in the ways we knew how. Next slide, please. Witnessing firsthand the state of breast cancer here in the country and the limited resources made available, it slowly became clear our loudest mission would be advocating for early breast cancer detection. Apart from the strategic partnerships with local governments to hold community-based early detection programs all year round in key cities, made possible through a local ordinance, the month of October, Oktober to us here at ICANSERVE, meant conducting forums and screening sessions in partnership with offices, medical societies, patient groups, hospitals, and barangays. It was here when we spoke on the importance of taking charge of our own health, on following the guidelines that included mammograms, clinical exams, and checkups, particularly having regular breast self-exams. In mid-2020, when it became apparent we would not be able to hold our in-person early detection initiatives, we found ourselves in uncharted territories. We found ourselves back to where we started. The pandemic kept us in the dark, but we were adamant women didn't need to be. It was evident that breast cancer screening rates dropped dramatically during the pandemic. Many healthcare facilities delayed elective procedures. To reduce the risk of further infecting others and to address safety practices, majority of the hospitals and clinics canceled mammograms, ultrasound, even clinical exams. How could we arm women with vital life-saving information that would be simple, accurate, and concise? That would be easy to transport, that they could keep as a reminder, and that we could produce in spite of the nationwide shutdowns. Next slide, please. And so we created Kamay Gabay. Next slide, please. Kamay means hand. Gabay is guide or support. The Kamay Gabay kit is a resource guide. It is an educational kit. Next slide, please. What is in the kit? Breast cancer 101 information and illustrations. Next slide. Myths and facts. We have had many women come to us and tell us they believe their cancer began because a toddler kicked them when they were younger, or because they fell on their chest. We thought it best to discuss common misconceptions or set things straight. We wanted to provide the facts. We also have risk factors. There are those who have no control over, and that there are those we can influence and change. What are the symptoms to be mindful for, to look out for? What are the recommended guidelines by age? Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Yeah, one slide back. Thank you. One more slide back, please. Okay, that's fine. No worries. Okay. An illustrated guide how to properly perform a breast self-exam. We hope to reach as many women as possible. The kit was made in 3 languages, English, Cebuano, and Tagalog. Next slide, please. It is also an accessory. It is a bag charm with beads that demonstrate the average size of lumps typically found in women. Those who undergo annual checkups by health practitioners, those who conduct monthly self-exams, those who conduct these infrequently, and those who do not check at all and usually find it by accident. Next slide, please. Through the generosity of private corporations, municipalities, government organizations, and individuals who together with us saw the importance of information and cancer awareness, the Kamay Gabay kit made its way into the hands of women. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Between the months of October and November 2020 alone, and in the middle of one of the country's most stringent lockdowns, 2,740 kits were made and distributed. Next slide, last slide, please. Thank you. It is our hope that this will be a constant and visual reminder to be proactive about our own health. It is also a reminder for each of us that no matter how small or grand, we can overcome the challenges of change. As they say, great opportunities often come disguised as impossible situations. Thank you.
Thank you, San. Thank you, San. We now have Mikael Seldran following that.
Good afternoon. Thank you all for coming. My name is Mikael Sajan, and I'm a senior attending the International School of Manila. I wanted to take this time to thank the ICANSERVE Foundation for giving me the opportunity to discuss about my app and initiative in the pink and how it came to be. Next slide, please. Firstly, why did I create In the Pink? My mother is a breast cancer survivor. She was diagnosed in 1999, or 6 years before I was born. As a child of a cancer survivor, it was impossible not to know about breast cancer even at an early age. Pink shirts and bracelets filled the cabinets and closets. There were survivors always meeting at her house. I once modeled a shirt with the words that reads, "Tough kids wear pink," as you can see here alongside my twin brother. My usual job black soccer laces were replaced with pink ones in October, as my teammates and I would lace up for Breast Cancer Awareness Month. There were football tournaments, food fairs, and there were many, many breast cancer awareness events that we attended as a family. Even though cancer entered my home well before I was born, I learned firsthand, as I'm sure it is the same for many of you, that cancer doesn't just affect the patient, it affects everyone. During the pandemic, I saw how my mom and other breast cancer survivors, my aunt's ICANSERVE Foundation, created printed resource kits and charms to be delivered to women's homes as they were unable to hold early detection activities in person. During this time, clinics were closed and people were afraid to step out of their homes. I realized how it was even scarier and more difficult and more complicated for these people. During this time, I also developed a special interest in computer science. Here in the Philippines, where kids like us weren't allowed to leave our homes, I took extra classes on some evenings to learn how to code. I knew then I wanted to create an app that was created for both children and adults, free, easy to navigate, and one that provided the information that anyone could have access to. And that is how In the Pink came to be. Next slide, please. So what is In the Pink? In the Pink is a free mobile application for Android providing information, resources, and support for the Philippine breast cancer community. It is available for download on the Google Play Store. As you can see here, the instructions, and here's the download link. And for those who do not have Android devices or are not Android users, it is also a responsive website, inthepinkph.com, accessible to anyone with a gadget, any smartphone, any laptop, any iPad, any desktop, etc. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. So what does In the Pink consist of? In the homepage of In the Pink, you will find 4 sections: about breast cancer, early detection guidelines, resource directory, and Within the Pink. There are also 2 additional sections where you can learn more about the ICANSERVE Foundation and about In the Pink Philippines. Next slide, please. Firstly, In the Pink contains a resource guide on all things breast cancer. In partnership with ICANSERVE Foundation, it is a digital kit with pertinent information such as what is breast cancer, who is at risk, what are the risk factors, what are the myths and truths, what are the signs, what is a self-breast examination and how should one perform it. All this information available in 3 languages, English, Tagalog, and Bisaya or Cebuano. And if one isn't exactly sure on how to conduct a breast self-examination, there is an animated video produced by ICANSERVE and Novartis that can guide and walk you through it every step of the way. Next slide, please. Next, you'll also find a directory of healthcare facilities and hospitals that one can visit in Metro Manila, Cebu, and Davao, together with an itemized list of these services and a price breakdown of these services. For example, if you are living in Taguig City and in need of a chest x-ray, or living in Davao City and in need of a head CT scan, you will be able to access the available resources in the locations nearest to you. For those diagnosed, there's a list of support and patient groups that you can join in Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. Thank you so much to all the groups that have agreed to be a part of In the Pink. We hope to expand these lists into other locations in the upcoming weeks and months. Next slide, please. Another feature is a notification function, an alarm that notifies users when it is time for them to perform their next breast self-examination. No more excuses about forgetfulness. Lastly, a recent addition to In the Pink is Within the Pink, a resource corner for children of breast cancer survivors. There are recommended books, poems and artworks, articles, and videos where children of breast cancer survivors can learn more about what their mothers were going through, as well as the experiences of other children who were touched by cancer. Through this application, I want survivors and their families to know that they are not alone. Because in a country with the highest prevalence of breast cancer in Asia and the 7th highest prevalence in the world, they may feel unrepresented. I want the next person who types mom and breast cancer in a single search, like I did, to see a world of resources available. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mick. I introduce to you Minnie Panghilinan.
Can we play the video? One of the greatest motivation for choosing the breast form is the fact that the Philippines is one of the places with the highest prevalence of breast cancer.
Bracong is a lightweight external breast prosthesis for post-mastectomy patients. So here we can see the design of the bracong itself is inspired by nature. So we use generative design to create this pattern, coral-like or seashell-like pattern that retains the form of the bracong while consuming less material. So with this, it costs us less and it weighs less. We can 3D scan a patient or create a 3D model out of their other imaging techniques like CT scan or MRIs. From there, we can create the surface of the bracong and then create a pattern. And then that pattern we can now 3D print with our placong.
Bracong is made of placong, this material. It's a biocomposite made out of all biodegradable materials, all organic. It's composed of bacong pellets here and polylactic acid. The bacong plant is an aquatic plant. They just grow randomly in rivers, riverbeds. Most of the members of the community consider them as pests.
3D printing or additive manufacturing makes us really adaptable and we can make highly customized forms. So we can make each bracong unique to its user, to their bodies.
Bracong, if thrown away, naturally biodegrades under composting conditions. That way, they don't harm the environment. Also, if you want a refitting, you can give us your bracong, old bracong, and then we'll melt it since it's made out of polylactic acid. And then we'll reprint it and adjust it to your body.
The prestige of the James Dyson Award itself opens up a lot of opportunities for potential partners in the future. Today called bracong. Can we go to the slides? There. So So, I'm Mini Pangilinan. I'm an industrial designer. I have degrees in industrial design and computer science. And my co-inventor is Jason Pichardo. His specialty, he can't be here with me today, but his specialty is in material science and engineering. We are both from the University of the Philippines, Diliman. And currently, we are working with the UP-CBOL, which is a group in PGH. It's an interdisciplinary group that creates medical innovations and devices. So Jason and I are the inventors / designers of bracong. So bracong is a lightweight external breast prosthesis for breast cancer survivors that empowers our breast cancer survivors who are experiencing an altered sense of self-esteem and body image. So why did we find a need for this? It's because we found this alarming statistics. This is from the early 2010s statement by the Philippine Society of Medical Oncology, and it states that the Philippines is among the highest countries with the highest prevalence of breast cancer and the top in the world. So listening to some of the latest data from yesterday, I think this is changed, but still the alarming fact remains that a lot of Filipinas get the disease, and in fact a lot of women all over the world gets the disease. So this was really our motivation in doing the project. So when patients undergo mastectomy, some after the procedure may experience this altered sense of self-esteem that may lead to introversion, insecurity, and inhibition, and it can adversely affect a woman's feelings of femininity and self-confidence. So among the survivors that we've talked to, they expressed that they felt half as a woman or abnormal or even depressed. So one option is to go for reconstruction, another invasive procedure. This can be risky, expensive, and exhausting. So as an alternative, our breast cancer survivors can opt to get breast form. So breast forms are products that imitate the breast shape to provide the desired look of normalcy. But we also looked at the sustainability issues of prosthesis in general. So because of their highly personalized nature, they don't have a secondary market. So when it's used and upon wear and tear, or if the body of the patient changes, the prosthetic is no longer usable. So they may end up in our closets, gathering dust, or worse, they could end up piling up in landfills. So with these, to address these and with circularity in mind, we made Bracong. So Bracong is this lightweight external breast prosthesis made from the Bacong plant. So we start from the Bacong plant, and then we make this Placong. We call the material Placong because it's a combination of the Bacong plant and the common 3D printing material called PLA. And then after that, we create the Bracong, which is bra plus Bacong. So a little more about the plant. So Bacong is actually found in several countries in Southeast Asia. But in Cagayan, in the northern part of the Philippines, it's found there to be an obstruction in lakes and rivers. So one of the projects of the Design Center of the Philippines is their Smart Materials Project, where they find and collaborate with innovators and designers like us to find potential uses of this plant. So Bacong is unutilized by the farmers, and Jason and I, we wanted to tell this story how we can turn something useless into something useful. And that's why we responded to the call of the Design Center of the Philippines. Also, some local research found that Bacong has an effective antibacterial property. So we also wanted to put this in the spotlight. So from our plant, we create our 3D printable filament called Placong. It's a biocomposite filament specifically engineered to make the plant Bacong 3D printable. So I have props. I have brought in some samples of the filament. So this is made from the Bacong plant. So here are more samples of the 3D prints that we were able to make. So since this is an entirely new material, we didn't have any literature to base how we would mix the formula of the material. We had to go through a lot of trial and error, even just to print small pieces. So from the material, we came up with, we make a Bracong. So Bracong is used like any typical breast form, where it's inserted into bras or tops with pockets. And our goal here is to make an accessible and sustainable option for our breast cancer warriors, and supporting how they want to look and feel. So what makes Bracong unique is, first, we employ this biomimicry or biomimetic design, which creates this aesthetic and also facilitates airflow, which is beneficial for users in warm and humid countries like the Philippines. Also, resulting from this design is we use minimal material, so it's lightweight. And then with the existing research of being antibacterial, we can prevent microbial growth, especially in the sweaty area of the chest. And we also plan a local fabrication of the product, which means it's more accessible and to the local market, and it's competitive or even cheaper to compared to the important ones. So this is just a short visualization of how we make it in 3D. We kind of emulate this coral-like growth on the 3D surface. So Brakong is entirely inspired by nature, from its material to how it looks to how it functions. We also have really the product life cycle in mind, where when the product is used, if it needs repair or if the body of the patient changes, they can return the Brakong, we can remelt it and reprocess it, and then we can form another piece. Also, we've come up with this idea called the Pamana system. So if ever the patient doesn't need the Brakong anymore, if they want to go breast-free or have reconstruction, they can return the Brakong and the material will go back to the loop, and then this can kind of subsidize for the next patient who needs help in affording the Brakong. So Pamana is translated into inheritance in English. So also in the case of disposal, since it's biodegradable, it under certain soil conditions, it will eventually go back to earth. So our current status is we're still in the middle of design iterations and research and all the product development. And with the help of Ms. Kersan and the ICANSERVE Foundation also. So that's Brakong. Thank you very much for listening. And our goal is to make an accessible breast cancer breast form, and really to make our wearers feel like they're warriors. Thank you so much.
Minnie, aren't you being modest? Tell them about your award.
Okay, so we started this just around a year ago, August. And from since last year, we've won the Bakong Circular Design Challenge and this year's James Dyson Award as the national winner. So yeah, so this October we're up against the other international winners for the international awards. Thank you.
I told you they were rock stars. Thank you, Minnie.
Also, thank you to Ms. McCoy who also tested our Brakong. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you for that. And now we bring in just a reminder, she is a self-described patient from hell, and she joins us via Zoom, Ms. Sam Daswani.
Hi everyone, can you hear me? Just do a quick check. Yes?
Yes, we can hear you.
Beautiful. All right. Thank you for the introduction. That was a very hard presentation to follow, because what I'm about to show you is the definition of going back to the basics. So I'm the founder of Connect Affairs. We are a global community of cancer caregivers and survivors across the world. Our mission is to make the cancer experience just a little easier. There are a lot of things about cancer that are hard, but we go after things that are low-hanging fruit, and we go back to the basics. I'm a breast cancer survivor myself. I got diagnosed a week after I turned 30. I am a bioengineer by training, and I work in healthcare. And when I got diagnosed, despite having some preparation to being in the healthcare system, it was incredibly overwhelming. I had never felt that out of control. I didn't have the tools to stay organized, to communicate in a way that I felt strong. I didn't have tools to feel emotionally grounded. And I honestly got really angry at the system that patients like us didn't have the basics to do what we needed to do to feel like we had control. So I came back from the second cycle of chemo, couldn't sleep, insomnia, which for those of you in the room, I'm sure you've gone through it. And I resorted to pen and paper and sketched up structures and frameworks to feel like I had agency. I sent it to a local printer, and that's where it started. She looked at it and she bound it for me, and she responded to me and said, you know, Samira, I think this will help other people. So why don't you give it away to people? And that's where it started. I printed 3 books, got feedback from nurses, oncologists, patients, caregivers, researchers, and everybody kept asking for more. So we printed more, got feedback, iterated on it, did the same thing. So we went through 4 fairly big design cycles, and this was all during treatment. So when treatment got over last year, we put this version up on our website, and we've sold 700. And since then, there are other survivors who've joined me in this sort of mission. One of them who can't be here today with us is Molly Lindquist. She's a 10-year breast cancer survivor who joined Manta Cares maybe 5 months ago now. I keep losing track. It's been so long. So she joined us and we're together working on this project. I'll show it to you in this presentation here. It's a fairly small book. It's very lightweight. It doesn't actually have pink on it or ribbons on it, partly because it's pan-cancer in its orientation. And patients gave us feedback saying that because they want to carry it with them to the hospital and then go back to their work setting or their home setting, they didn't want cancer there because it was private to them. So they were able to use it more. When you look inside it, we have structures in there to help patients and caregivers prepare for appointments, to remember to write down their questions, to write down their symptoms, and then most importantly, to take notes in the appointment. What we found is that patients and caregivers who carry the planner with them feel like they have agency and control in appointments that otherwise are very overwhelming, where you have information coming at you much faster than I think at least I was able to absorb. So the physical paper pen slows it down. The second part of the planner includes what we call the daily check-in. This is a science-backed planner, and we make sure that every single module in here has evidence behind it. So on the left side of the planner, you see the emotional grounding. There's tons of data to show that patients who have a gratitude log tend to have higher motivation. So we made sure to incorporate that. As I'm sure many of you know in the room, hope is so intangible sometimes and yet so important. We have that, we have a hope log in there. On the right side, it's all the clinical stuff. Dr. Ethan Bash's work has shown that in the metastatic settings, patients who keep track of their symptoms tend to have better outcomes. So we have a symptom tracker in there. Medication, nutrition. I cannot tell you how many times I have removed that because a lot of people have iPhones, and every time I removed it, people came back and said, no, we need it back there, put it back in there, because people wanted everything in one place. So this is the sort of framework where everything you need within the day is in one place. The next section is truly the planning section of the planner. We have very high-level questions to remind you what to ask your care team during diagnosis, during treatment. We have frameworks around nutrition, symptom management, medication management, supportive care. A lot of us go through healing in different ways, spiritual care for ourselves, so it allows you to document all of that as well. We've sold 700 in the US so far over the last 10 months. What you see here is one specific patient who sent us a picture of her planner after using it for a few months. And you can see that she's made it her own. She has pictures of a warrior in there. She is a breast cancer patient right now. And you kind of see that she's made it her own journal with her little stickies everywhere. So whenever we see this, it gives us a lot of motivation to keep going. I did put this up here because right now we're only available in the US, but in about a week or so, we will be on Amazon and available anywhere in the world that you have Amazon. And it will be available in local currencies. So October 3rd, you will be able to buy it anywhere in the world. I'm specifically excited about this because I come from India. I grew up there. And I know that the need is really high in my country. So making this available back home is really meaningful for me. So I'm very excited that it's going to be available shortly. Outside of our planner, we do have a lot of content now on our platform. It took me a while to come to terms with the fact that I need to identify as a patient from hell, and our podcast is called that. You can listen to our podcast for free anywhere that you listen to podcasts: Spotify, Apple, Amazon, Google. Our podcast is not just patient stories and survivor stories. We also bring in experts across the globe to communicate in language that is easy for at least patients and like me to understand. We've had the executive director of the National Comprehensive Cancer Network on our platform talking about the importance of guidelines, and more importantly, how we as patients get access to guidelines and how we understand guidelines. We've had individuals from Kaiser Permanente on our platform come talk to us about recencies and changes in breast cancer. And then most importantly, we've had guests coming and talking about caregivers, because as we heard in even this panel, the caregiver experience is in some ways much harder than the patient experience. And we really believe that building resources for them are really important. The second thing that we do now is every month we have a free resource that goes up on our website that you can download anywhere in the world. In the month of August, it was a chemotherapy checklist for caregivers who are helping support their loved ones starting chemo. This month, so September, is going to launch in about a week. So stay tuned. You can look at our website and get it there. And then the last thing that we did this week actually is we have Dr. Maeve Batchelor now on our platform. Mental health is, as I'm sure everybody in this room knows, really, really, really hard during cancer. And we want to create services to support that. So Dr. Batchelor is an MD, she's a survivor herself, and she's a trained life coach. So you can actually now book sessions with Dr. Batchelor on our platform anywhere in the world virtually, and she supports our community. And with that, I think I'm at time. So I am Samira, Sam, I go by Sam, and you can get our resources at mantacares.com. You can follow us anywhere at manta_cares, and then sadly, the Patient from Hell podcast does exist.
Via Zoom, Sam.
Hello everyone. I hope you can hear me okay. Just bear with me while I try and show you my presentation. Excuse me a second. Here we are. Okay, so can you see my screen? Okay, I'm assuming that we can. The other Sam is nodding. We're just to do a quick introduction. My name's Sam. I'm from the UK, and we are a company called Boost Innovations, and Boost was set up around 5 years ago to address the challenge that prosthesis wearers have with current market breast prostheses. So as you understand, and I'm sure loads of people in the room might understand, current market prostheses tend to be a little bit like this. I also have props to show and tell. Tend to be beige, silicone gel in a polyurethane film, and they are quite heavy and hot and sweaty if you are wearing one of those, particularly for exercise or active wear. They can be really, really tricky. So we wanted to address those. So my My mum had a breast cancer diagnosis around 17 years ago, and she was 47 years old. And when my mum had that diagnosis, she had complications with her breast cancer surgery, which meant that she wasn't able to opt for any reconstructive surgery. So she was left with one breast, and she was a larger lady, which made it a lot more difficult for her to be a prosthesis wearer. So she was given a prosthesis, a traditional prosthesis, like the one I just showed you, which she found hot and heavy and sweaty and really uncomfortable. And as she moved, she felt it flopped against her chest, and it wasn't very good for her, particularly for her active lifestyle and to do exercise. It also presented challenges because she experienced lymphedema issues, and her breast prosthesis aggravated some of those issues with swelling and lymphedema. So it was a very difficult time for her to find something that she felt would really actually suit her needs. So we started to look at that. So it took some time, but after several years of my mum struggling on with these types of products, she actually said to me one day, well, why does it even look like that? Why does the prosthesis have to be the replacement flesh of the breast? Like, nothing's going to replace the breast I've lost. So why does it need to be like that? And that's why we formed Boost. So Boost is a UK-based company. We do UK-based manufacturing. And we have designed a radically different new type of breast prosthesis. It is open structured, it is breathable. And if you see here on our model Kathy, it is very subtle to give a shape and contour under the clothing. So a Boost breast form, I'm going to show you one if the screen will allow me to show you one. A Boost breast form is a silicone breast form. It's 100% medical grade silicone. It's a high quality product. It is soft and squishy and pliable, which means that, importantly, if, for example, our breast prosthesis wearer was to give someone else a wonderful, great big hug, the breast prosthesis would respond in line with how a natural breast responds. It has weighting towards the bottom of the product, which means that it sits comfortably in the bra, and it provides that balance that might be needed, particularly for women with larger breasts. Importantly to us at Boost, our prostheses are sterilizable. They are able to be used in medical settings. They can withstand quite high temperatures. So during things like the COVID-19 pandemic, we found that was really popular because people knew that they could wash very thoroughly their breast forms. And so if they were wearing them daily, or they were wearing them for active wear, for example, for swimming or for jogging or for yoga, and they were hot, then they could actually they could wash those really thoroughly. So that's one of the really important features of our product. It is silicone, but we have developed a process for recycling it. So we have a zero waste production method. We recycle all our waste silicone, we re-chip it, and we can remold it into new breast form products. Our breast forms are also able to be sent back to us if a customer no longer needs them, or if they've lost weight or gained weight or need to swap a size. And we can repurpose that silicone again back into the cycle to make more breast forms. So we've worked on that circular economy. We know that silicone really, for our product, which is designed for active use, designed for swimming, for yoga, designed to give some weight but not too much weight, and to give that open structure where air can circulate. We know that works for people. But we also have been really mindful about that ongoing process of using the silicone, and done what we can to mitigate against the environmental impacts of that. We also offer our product in a plastic-free packaging. We tend to give our products in a nice little cotton bag that can easily be put into the bra drawer or the underwear drawer of the customer. And it is a kind of it's a product that doesn't really. I was thinking about Sam in the previous presentation and the notebook. It's a product that can easily be. It's discreet. If it's in the cotton bag, it's quite a discreet product. It doesn't scream breast cancer, and as you were saying about having ribbons and bows and lots of pink, again, we've also stayed away from that a little bit, because we really are looking at survivors who have moved on from their breast cancer treatment. Quite often they're just women who want to get on with their lives and want to be active, want to return to sports, want to return to swimming, want to return to lots of things that they did before. And what we aim to do is give them the confidence to do that by providing the shape and contour underclothing in a way that is highly functional. You have a bit of weight there to balance your natural breasts, but actually it's also easy to clean, easy to manage, and lighter in area than the traditional silicone gel breast forms. So one of the features that is also important to us is that we don't make skin color or representations of skin color in our products. We try and make them in bright feel-good colors. We do pinks and purples and the aqua that's here. So we have a range of colors that's more designed to move away from the facsimile of a breast and move towards empowering accessory kind of territory. What we want to do is for people to feel like they're not always reminded of their medical journey. There was a lot of women in our focus groups in the UK that would refer to this colour as hospital beige, because it wasn't really their skin tone. And to move away from those connotations of you've had something wrong with you towards you're going to live your life and it's going to be wonderful, and we're going to support you to do whatever it is you want to do with your life, being active and doing what empowers you and what makes you feel good. So that we have noticed a little bit of a shift, a paradigm shift in how we've developed those products and how we present them. So we have a range of sizes. They have been available in the UK for a couple of years now, and we are also selling in the US. We have new suppliers coming on board all the time, particularly in places. We're working with somebody in Australia at the moment and somebody in Canada, and we're really keen to find new avenues for our products to go where women might benefit from them. We also have been developing a production pod system, which we hope in the future will make it easier for people across the world to actually have a license to make their own Boost breast form products, so that the pod could be placed, for example, in a hospital facility or with a local manufacturer, and they could have a license from us to produce their own products in the way that we do them, again with being mindful about the environmental impact and following our zero waste process, but actually to empower communities across the world who might not be able to afford the prices that we have to charge, because obviously ours are made in the UK, and the wages costs and the overheads are quite high here, but actually to empower communities around the world to actually undertake that manufacturing themselves. So that's the longer term plan for us and our products, to make sure that we get them to as many women as we possibly can. So we did base our product, and this is the lovely Lisa modelling our product as well here, on the experiences of real women. We only use real women when we're doing our market testing and our photography for our promotional things, because it's just really important to understand that we are a conduit for women's voices. We really listened. Yes, it started with my mum's experience and her inspiration through her journey and her experience as a prosthesis wearer, but actually we've moved on from that. We've worked with hundreds and hundreds of women across the UK and the US, actually, to feed back into our product development cycles. And the breast form that we've pictured here is just one of the products we're making. We have some slightly different shapes and sizes. We've patented this product in lots of different places around the world, so that this open structured model is patented to us. And we have designed it with the breast cancer community in mind. We're really proud that women's voices are heard and their feedback is actioned through the way our project is set up. So it is designed to be kind to the environment, to be as inclusive as possible. Again, going away from skin tone means that people can be empowered to choose a colour that they love, that they feel empowered by, that they enjoy wearing, a colour that means something to them, rather than thinking about it being a replacement body part the whole time and being matched to skin tone. We think that that's quite an important step in a journey for well-being. And it also makes the product more inclusive, because we're not worrying too much about matching skin colors and having diverse skin colors, because we've moved away from that, and we really do focus on empowerment and colors that make you feel wonderful, and colors that match your outfit or your lingerie rather than matching your skin. We want it to be accessible, and I've talked a bit about that, the production system being democratized. We also want accessibility, so we keep our price points very low. Our prices are usually at least half to a third of the price of one of these traditional breast prostheses. So we try and keep it around the price of a pair of trainers, really, a posh pair of trainers, so that people could afford to buy them, and that they aren't put off by those kind of costs, and that they are accessible. And we've showed that in the UK, they're selling very well. And again, in the US, and we have those new partners coming on around the world, but we're always seeking new partnerships. So that's why I was really excited to be here today, where I could just present the product, present our work, and just explain a little bit about our journey and the motivation behind it. I'm not a product developer. I don't have a product development background. I was just a caregiver, really, as we've mentioned, somebody whose mum had gone through this, and then I was inspired to do something about it. I used to work in a museum in arts and culture, so I don't have a background in business or product design, but I have been learning, because I can recognize that there are so many women around the world that might benefit from this kind of boost product. So thank you very much for listening to me, and thank you very much for letting me be here today.
Thank you, Sam. Thank you. So with all this exciting innovation, we invite an overachiever, and she'll explain to you why she's an overachiever, to respond and react to what we've discussed this afternoon. May I introduce you to Lisa de la Cruz.
Actually, with everything that has presented, it's very helpful to everyone, even the innovations on prostheses and the sharing of the app from the handsome Seldran. Anyway, I am diagnosed with psoriasis, so I am here. Kara asked me to. I am diagnosed with psoriasis in 2001, before I was diagnosed with breast cancer in 2007. So with Cara, Prisan, and Nicoy, and the ladies around, I know that ICANSERVE is well taken care of. That's why I opted to help fellow psoriasis patients reach the same milestone ICANSERVE has reached. So the innovations I have experience, we help patients. Before, we came up with the SOAR Coach program. SOAR Coach program is patient empowerment, where we train patients, and then we teach them how to help other newly diagnosed patients who undergo depressions, anxieties. It helps a lot. And then came pandemic. What a psoriasis patient have difficult dealing with is the discrimination when seeing us with lesions all around our bodies. So when a breast cancer patient was mastectomized, you can use all the breast prosthesis and the best prosthesis we have. But when the lesions of psoriasis are all around your body, patients become anxious of what they are going through. Sometimes the suicidal ideation was very high, especially in the young people when they were diagnosed with, at the prime of their life. And then, come pandemic, I am actually one of the senior moderators. That's why we came up with different programs that can help patients alleviate their lives, especially when they're in flare-ups. So during pandemic, when people are not allowed to go out, people with psoriasis are contained in the house because we have more comorbidities than any other diseases around. So we are not allowed to go out because we are autoimmune. Our condition is autoimmune, and Kaya we came up with the thought of coming up with a program that will help the patient address their anxiety during this period. So what are the best way or access to do it is to use the social media platforms. So we came up with a Weekends with Sorfil program. Anyway, by the way, Sorfil is a short name for Psoriasis Philippines, and it's a shorter name. So we came up with Weekends with Sorfil, wherein we invite different doctors and patients and share their journeys, share their newly innovations in treatments, So actually, we have been running Weekends with Sorfil for almost 1.5 years now since pandemic, and we are almost 170 episodes. 170 episodes for the last 18 months. And we featured 20 different non-communicable diseases. Part of it when we invite Cara because of breast cancers, because psoriasis has a lot of comorbidities like diabetes. And recently, we just found out that psoriasis is connected with different types of cancers. So a lot of us, thyroid cancers, breast cancer, colon cancer, some of us left already because of cancer, not because of psoriasis, because of the comorbidities. So we came up with, we invite different groups. We featured 20 non-communicable diseases, and we invite more than 10 patient organizations and CSOs and NGOs. So by looking at us, we empower patients. Some of us go to the beach before with long sleeves and long pants in the beach. So now, when we empower the patient, they can easily now go out in the beach with two-piece, even with their lesions, We empower patients to make their own, to develop or to hone their own talents and crafts in their different crafts. So early this year, happy to announce that early this year, Weekend with Sorfil was presented in the Alliance and Patients, Alliance and Partnership for Patients, Innovations and Solutions. Along with ICANSERVE, Weekends with Sorfil was chosen one of the most innovative advocacy program all around Asia Pacific, Middle East, and Africa. Thank you. So we empower patients. Talaga, we make sure that the level of anxiety that they are going through must be lessened. And so, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. This has been such a powerful afternoon. I'm so happy to share this time with all of you. I opened the session with Rumi. Indulge me. I will close the session also with Rumi. I think these stories and these ideas and these breakthroughs remind us that you are not a drop in the ocean. You are the entire ocean.
Wow.
I will say that again. You are not a drop in the ocean. You are the entire ocean. Thank you. Thank you, Sam and Sam. They are inviting questions. I thought we were at time. I apologize. I think everyone's breath is taken away by their inspiration. I think we're good. Thank you. Sorry, I apologize.
Good afternoon. We're very interested. So how, when, and is it available? So that we can advertise in Cebu and in Mindanao.
Hi po. Thank you for your interest in Bakong. Right now we're still in product development phase. But if you're with ICANSERVE po, we can, once we are ready with the product launch, we can contact to the foundation po.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much for your interest.
One follow-up question for Brakong. One of our consideration in wearing prosthesis is just to balance the weight of our breast, especially those diagnosed with breast cancer with only one breast removed. So we have to balance the weight. So maybe it could be an innovation to at least consider the weight also, consider the size also of the one wearing it, because one purpose why we wear prosthesis is to balance the weight to prevent women from scoliosis. Yes. Yes, from having scoliosis. So maybe one innovation that we can suggest is you consider also the weight in improving for the Brakong, and we are very interested and we will be very supportive of our local products. And congratulations and thank you for the innovation.
Thank you po for the feedback. We'll definitely take all of these are in our notes. Thank you so much.
Are there any more questions? Okay.
I have a question for the two Sams. When will your products be available here in the Philippines?
I'm happy to go first. It's going to be available mid-October. So we're trying to launch it during Breast Cancer Awareness Month. So in about a couple of weeks, we should be up and running anywhere on Amazon, and you should be able to buy it in local currency.
For us, well, It depends on a partnership. So one of the reasons that I was really keen to be asked to come along today is because we are seeking partners around the world. We could very quickly, if we find the right partner, find a way to send a bulk of products that we manufacture here and send them over to be redistributed. But in terms of moving production around the world, we're not quite yet there yet. We're still developing that system and how it would work, but that is definitely our intention. So I do welcome if anybody wants to get in contact with Boost. Our website is wewearboost.com, or you can email me. I'm sure that details can be circulated. And we'd love to hear from people who can perhaps partner with us in the same way that we're working at developing partnerships with people in Australia and Canada at the moment, places where it's a bit harder to ship to. And we would like to find partners that can give support on sizing and fitting as well, because our products work really well when they're in a bra that fits really well. So we kind of, in the UK, we like to work with people who are also supplying mastectomy bras and clothing and advice with bra fit post surgery, because the two kind of work together. So if we're very open to partnerships, but we before I came here and before I was asked to talk about this today, we hadn't really explored any relationships specifically with the Philippines, but very, very happy to do so.
Thank you. And now I'm told we're at time. So I was a little advanced in closing, but now we're real close. Thank you very much. Thank you.